St. John's.
Hey everyone, I'm Darren Hann and welcome to Pocket Universe. We're coming to you today from Heroes and Hobbies. On today's show, we have Michael Collis from Fossil Focus and Anahareo from Wonderbolt Circus. Come on back after this. Welcome back, everybody. I want to welcome to the show Michael Collis, whose business name is, I got to get this right, Fossil Focus. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Tell me about Fossil Focus.
Yeah, this is a business that I've been doing for a few years now. It's kind of just a hobby that started for me, just something that I'd like to do, just some photographs of dinosaurs around the city, and bunch of people were like, hey, you know, that could end up being a good business idea. So I was like, yeah, sure, why not sell them?
Now, I see a little problem with that.
Uh-huh.
We don't have dinosaurs. And I'm sure if we did, they probably wouldn't pose for you. So how do we get around not having dinosaurs?
Yeah, I found these pretty much really high quality figures.
Right, yeah.
These dinosaur figures that I found on Amazon, and there's a place in town that sells them. Mm-hmm. And I basically go to wherever I want the dinosaur to be.
Yep.
I take the photo, put the dinosaur, hold the dinosaur up where I want the photo, where I want it to be in the photo, snap the picture, and then edit my hand down. I add some shadows, add some details, match the lighting, and it makes a pretty convincing photo.
So the dinosaurs that you use in the photos are actually these little guys here.
Yeah, so you can see that, for example, in this photo here,
yep.
That guy is the one right there in the photo, and so it's once I do that, it's pretty much just, you know, adding the detail, adding the shadow, and you know.
Okay, so take me right back to the beginning. So
All right.
we've got so you find a nice scenery first.
So I usually pick like a basically very notable scene in Newfoundland. Like I got the jelly bean houses,
Sure.
I got the rooms.
Okay.
I got what other places? Oh, Signal Hill, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
I got what is that? The easterly point, most easterly point. Cape Spear.
Cape Spear.
Got it. And I got Cape Spear, and so I just choose a location that I really like.
Sure.
And then I choose a dinosaur that might have a affliction with that area or something.
Okay.
So, for example, jelly bean houses are different colors, right? That's
Yes.
the whole thing.
Yep.
Allosaurus, that dinosaur in the photo,
Yep.
translates to different lizard.
Oh, wow, okay.
So I've kind of chose that to be a fun little, you know.
So there is some meaning to it. That's
Yeah.
neat.
I chose the Ankylosaurus for Cape Spear.
Which guy is this?
This guy with the big hammer on his tail.
Oh, yeah.
For just
Nice.
because I thought it was, you know, Cape Spear, hammer on his tail, hammer and spear, sort of
Right.
weapon
Yep.
themed, sort
Yep.
of.
Okay.
So I try to keep it themed to whatever the dinosaur is, and usually that helps them sell good because I can make up a really fun name for them.
That's very interesting. So you've got a location in your head. You got a dinosaur planned. You go there, and you actually just
Yeah.
hold up the dinosaur or put him on something, or
Usually just hold them up. I have had to put it on something a couple times. So I found the best way. I've tried doing it just taking a picture of it at home, but it's very hard to match the lighting. So I thought, well, what's the best way to match the lighting?
Yeah.
Is if the dinosaur is actually there.
right.
So I take the picture of what I want the background to be. I'll hold the dinosaur up, and usually I find something to hide my hand. So for example, in this photo, it's the car.
Oh, yes, okay.
Or in another photo, it's a boulder. Or in another photo, it's a sign. Something that I can put my hand, where my hand is holding the toy behind. And so I will edit out my hand,
Yeah.
and then I will edit out what I want, like basically mask out what I want in front of the dinosaur, and put that back over top, hiding where I would be holding it.
So you've actually got the picture of the houses, picture of the dinosaur. Well, that's all one picture.
Yeah. Oh no, different pictures. Yeah.
Different pictures.
Yep.
So you got the picture of the house, picture of the dinosaur, and in this case, you got a picture of a car.
Yeah.
So it's
Well, the picture of the car. Well, yeah. So it's the same. You are right. The same picture of the car as the background.
Yeah.
So that picture's one, and then the picture of the dinosaur is a different one.
Mm-hmm. And so then the car is laid in over your hand.
Yep.
Or where your hand was to cover up that space.
Yep.
That's very neat.
Thanks.
That's
and
very
then something like for this one, it's hard to see, but the dinosaur's leg is behind the car, so you can see it through the window. So I had to edit out the glare of the window,
Okay.
put the leg through, and
Yep.
add the glare back onto the window manually.
Oh, that's neat.
So stuff like that, you know, little details like adding the glare back in windows. There's one of this guy here at the Geo Center,
Okay.
and I had to put his reflection in the windows of the Geo Center.
Oh.
So not only do I have to remember the shadows, but all of the environmental effects it'll have on the area.
So his picture in the window, that would have been a reverse picture, wouldn't it?
Yep. So when I was there, I took the pictures of him there,
Yeah.
turned the camera all the way around
Right.
to basically face the Geo Center parking lot,
Yeah.
and flipped the guy around so I can get the opposite lighting and the opposite angle of what it would look like in the reflection.
Right, where the reflection would have been in the mirror.
Yeah.
In the window, like a mirror.
Yeah, exactly.
That is cool. How'd you learn to do all this?
So I studied graphic design at Kona for 2 years, and Photoshop has been my passion since long before that.
Yeah.
So learning how to do this was, once I learned, you know, basic masking, editing, and then, you know, learning how to, some YouTube videos to learn how to add shadows to photos.
Sure,
And a lot of trial and error. A lot of trial and error.
Yeah.
So, so a lot of these, especially like this one here, took me, I think, 3 or 4 tries to get the shadow right. But now that's the thing that it gets complimented most on, is how realistic that shadow looks.
The small details, like the shadow.
It's the small
and I
details.
guess when you're working on something like a shadow, you got to think about the time of the day, the lighting, the sun, everything.
Once again, really interesting with this one in specific, because I went to that spot where the jelly bean houses are in the afternoon one day, because it's a really nice day. I was like, oh, perfect time to go up there.
Yes.
Went up, and in the afternoon, the sun is behind the houses,
Okay.
so everything in front of those houses is in shadow.
Right, yeah.
So there would be no shadow, and it wouldn't look as realistic as if I put in a shadow.
Right.
So I went there. There was a car parked there.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, perfect. That's something I can hide my hand behind.
That's right.
So I took the pictures and everything,
Yeah.
went home, and I was like, this doesn't look right. You know, the shadow, there's no shadow, so it's not as convincing and everything. So I went back the next day, and I had to go back there at like 10:30 in the morning, and there's like, you know, people getting up and going to work and stuff like that.
Sure.
And I was standing there holding a dinosaur out at arm's length and taking photos and getting weird looks, but
Only in Newfoundland.
yeah, absolutely. And there was no car there that day.
Okay.
The car had driven off.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I need to park somewhere.
Sure.
So the car in the photo is my car.
Your car.
So I had to park there to hide my hand behind the photo. So yeah.
That is neat. Now, so with all these different dinosaurs, I'm sure you got like a lot of different types of pictures.
Yes.
Do you sell them?
Yes.
Okay, and where do you sell them to?
So I go to a lot of these markets around town. So there's these
Okay.
like nerd-themed like farmers markets,
Sure.
and Sci-Fi on the Rock,
Yeah.
Avalon Expo,
Yeah.
all of these markets around town that I basically try to get my foot in the door as much as I possibly can.
Right on, yeah.
And
So when you get when you are at these markets, you have all your photos displayed on the tables, and that people can come up, just pick whatever you want.
Yep.
Now, do you do any special orders, like if somebody wanted something?
Yes, absolutely. I just finished one up, actually. It was a Christmas gift for a young boy. He really likes Spinosaurus, the big T-Rex, like the one with the big sail on his back.
Oh yes, yeah.
And I have a big Spinosaurus toy, the same quality as all of these. So while he was at school, his parents had me come to the house and take some pictures of his house, and
Sure.
I got it specifically so the Spinosaurus was looking in his window.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That is
So there's a big thing outside of his house. He has a photo in his house of the Spinosaurus outside his house.
Outside his house. That's
Yeah.
neat. So, Michael, if someone wanted to get in contact with you, what's the best way for them to get in contact with you?
So Best way is probably email,
Okay.
fossilfocus709@gmail.com, or through Instagram or Facebook at fossilfocus. Yeah, that would be the best places to reach me if you
Excellent,
wanted
Michael.
commissions or just wanted to ask them some questions.
Well, Michael, thank you for coming on the show today and telling us all about Fossil Focus. And we'll be right back after this. I'd like to welcome to the show Anahareo with Wonderbolt Productions. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Anna, tell us all about Wonderbolt Productions and where it started, please.
Well, Wonderbolt Productions is actually in its 40th year this year, celebrating its 40th anniversary.
40th.
It was founded by Benny Malone,
Yes.
who's my father, actually.
Nice.
So I kind of grew up in it.
Yeah.
And yeah, he did Ringling Brothers Clown College in Florida.
Wow.
And then he came back here and started his own company. And most people know who he is because he's toured every outport community, even by boat.
Yeah.
So he, really dedicated a lot of his performances to the Newfoundland audience. So he
Right.
has quite a following that way. And myself, my background is how I got involved. Well, born into it, first of all.
Yes.
But then I also went away to Montreal 20 years ago and did the National Circus School. Graduated from the National Circus School in Montreal. And traveled for 13 years around the world, 7 years in Germany, came back here 10 years ago and started working with him.
Wow.
And so together with a bigger team now,
Yeah.
I started an iFly Aerial Arts. I have an aerial school with over 100 students. And 5 years ago, we started the St. John's International Circus Fest, which is going into its 5th year.
All right, so we got to go back a whole
Yeah.
bunch
So
of steps.
there's
We got to
a
back
lot
up a
of-
lot here now.
Yeah.
Circus school.
Yeah.
Didn't know there was such a thing.
Yeah, it's in Montreal. It's affiliated with Cirque du Soleil. It was kind of like
Oh,
their
wow.
feeding school.
Yeah.
Like I said, 20 years ago, now I'm aging myself, is when I graduated. It was a 3-year program, 40 hours a day.
Wow.
The year I auditioned for it, there was 100 people that auditioned. They took 11. I was one of the 11. I was the only one outside of Quebec that got accepted to that school.
Wow.
And it's a pretty prestigious school, just to say like that, it's really world renowned.
Yeah.
And from that school, I was able to travel first in Switzerland for a year in a touring circus. I was in Japan, Norway, and I spent 7 years in Germany doing the cabaret scene there. That's where I met my husband, brought him back to Newfoundland,
Yeah.
and have 3 kids here now, and all the rest is history.
What events does Wonderbolt put off, or what events are they a part of every year?
Well, even during a pandemic, I gotta say, we're kind of coming out of it now, but
Yeah.
like for the last 2 years, we haven't stopped a day. We really kept going, which is great. Like I said, that festival, when we hit the pandemic, was only going into its 3rd year. We ended up having to do a fully digital festival, but a
Okay.
really cohesive, fully digital festival that we did. Last year, we pulled off a fully live festival, 95% live. We had 100 visiting artists, shows. It's a 4-day festival.
Okay.
Throughout the year, we do outreach in Labrador. So we go to Labrador. Again, this
Yeah.
is like pre-pandemic,
Yeah.
but this is, we do a lot of outreach. And iFly has ongoing classes, so I have 12 classes a week. I have 11
Okay.
instructors, and we do performances. I take groups to Montreal in the summer for training. I'm doing
Yeah.
that this summer. We'll have done that this summer, yeah.
Yeah. So with the festival that you put off, so pre-pandemic or
Yeah.
post,
Yeah.
what's involved with the festival? How does it start? What goes on?
Yeah, it's incredible. Like I said, we're going into our 5th year. It's kind of like we're here to stay. We've really
Good.
proved ourselves. We're recognized internationally as a international festival. We bring a lot of people from Quebec. That's where there's a lot of circus concentrated. But it's a 4-day festival that highlights world-class, high-level shows each night. We did one at the Rooms last year, which was amazing. So we took over the Rooms and had an immersive experience with these amazing aerialists coming down from the ceiling, if you can picture the rooms full of circus.
That's right. Yeah.
We do shows at the Arts and Culture Center, and we bring in, usually we feature a country. We've been trying to feature Germany. Finally, we're able to bring them here
Okay.
for the 2022 festival. We also do workshops during that festival, so the visiting artists will do workshops for the community. We do panel discussion, keynotes. There's a whole social circus aspect. It's a really big.
So
big
is this something that the public can go into, or is it
Oh
only
yeah,
for
it's
only for
very
circus?
open for the public.
Okay.
So we also have a free family circus day that we offer at the Arts and Culture Center, where people can come and do workshops, and there's booths, and there's face painting and all that. performances to kind of expose. So one of our missions is really to bring high-level circus here, but also grow a circus audience here in Newfoundland, Atlantic Canada, and just expand circus in general in Canada.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Now, tell us a little bit about your, is it called a school?
I fly aerial, it is, yeah, it's considered a school.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what kind of programs, or how long are the programs? And how does people
Kind of
get
like,
involved with that?
I always describe it as like a dance studio, very similar to that.
Oh,
Meaning
dance
like,
studio, okay.
people come once a week to classes, they build routines, we do showcases at the end of the year or throughout the year.
Yeah.
What's really amazing about aerials though is that usually it's a solo performance that people are doing, less of group stuff. So I always find parents are really impressed when they see their kids, doing solos up on stage.
Yeah.
Like I said, I teach, but I also have 11 other instructors. So I teach the more performance advanced students.
Right.
And I give them opportunities to perform in Our Divas Do Christmas, for example. I've done that in the past, or different shows at the Holy Heart Theatre. So there's also a performance aspect for people that want to do that. Some people like to do it just recreationally. My oldest client is, no joke, 72.
Oh, wow.
And she does trapeze, and she's incredible. She was a Pilates instructor before, and she comes and takes class with anyone from 16 to... So that's really amazing.
So 72 years old, trapeze. Now, what I know of
Yeah.
trapeze are the two ropes with the handles, and one swings.
Yeah,
and
so that's one so that one you need a specific setting for.
Okay.
So what I do is I have the fixed trapeze, so there's no catching,
Okay. Then.
and dance trapeze, which is more like spinning and
Okay.
yeah. And then the youngest I have is 5 years old. We have classes for 5 to 7-year-olds, so I have my own kids doing aerials as well. So start them young, but really we have beginner adult classes, we have advanced, it's a mix of everything.
Now, you say aerials. Without it, just what?
Aerials would be, my specialty was aerial hoop. So it looks like a hula hoop, but hanging from the air.
Yeah.
If you can picture that.
Yeah.
The other thing that we teach is silks, and I describe them as like curtains that you climb.
Oh, I've seen those. Okay, they hang from the ceiling.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then we do trapeze, like I said. We also have a cube that we do. So really, some circus schools have handstands and acrobatics and all different disciplines, but my specialty is aerials, and that's what I've been able to bring here, is really the focus on aerials.
And you're not afraid of heights?
No, luckily.
No. All right, so we covered the company itself and your school.
Yeah.
Just go back again and a little bit more on the events that you guys are doing through the year and what would be planned for like the complete year.
For the complete year, like I said, we have those ongoing classes. We also have a regular circus class. We have the outreach that we do in the community, and then we usually have like a featured show. This year, Benny's doing, it's called Best Medicine. It's going to tour the arts and culture centers. And he's still performing, and he's, not to age him, but he's 67, and he's still on stage doing it.
Stage,
Yeah, still like living the dream.
Yeah.
And that's a great show with aerials, with contortion, with a story. So that's really lovely. So usually every year there's a show as well produced, like a professional show. And then year-round, we're really working on fundraising on this festival. Is a year-round gig. We have a team of 7 that are year-round, meeting, guests that we're going to invite here, doing the contracts, doing the planning, booking the venues. It's a lot of layers.
A lot of layers.
Yeah, and we wear a lot of different hats. You know what I mean? So.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So when you have the festival now, people are coming in from all over the world, aren't they?
Yeah, all over. Last year, even during the pandemic, we had people from the States come. We had a keynote speaker from the UK come who was running the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, and he came and did a keynote on the love of festivals and how to build a festival city. We have participants, like I said, from all across Canada that come. We have other circus schools that come to partake in the workshops that we offer and see the shows and just get immersed in circus. So it's really growing.
I've noticed too over the last few years, not the last few years, a good while now, it's animal free. There's no animals in that kind of stuff anymore.
Yeah.
And I'd like seeing that. I would rather see somebody do, like a person do something than an animal do something.
Yeah.
And that's one thing, because I see one of your performances one time, and I said, oh my God, that's from Newfoundland. That's like, the work you guys do is amazing.
Yeah.
And one thing I noticed too is that everyone's always laughing. Not laughing, there's a smile on the face.
Yeah.
There's always, you're always waiting for something to happen nice. And that's what I loved about your show. It's like, oh my God, it's like, where do I look next? And on stage too, I forget which show it was, but there's always something on stage moving. No matter where it's to, there's always something. Something stops, something starts, something stops, something starts.
Yeah.
And I loved about that. So if somebody wanted to get involved with your school or find out more about it, how did you find out more about it?
The best is probably Facebook. I have a website as well, iflyaerialartsnl.com.
Yeah.
But also you can look us up on Facebook.
Yeah.
And the same thing for the festival. We have a Facebook page and a website where we tell about all the programming.
Yeah.
And really, what I have to say is that I have primarily young women in my programs, but it's really empowering. I work with a lot of teen girls, and I found that during the pandemic to be able to keep a program going, to have a place where they feel safe and comfortable, where it's something physical, where it's based on strength, so they're supportive, so it's not competitive that way, so
That's
it's a
nice.
really great environment. And I think the same thing you were saying about circus shows in general.
Yeah.
I think people are wanting to be uplifted, and that's what we tend to do.
Yeah.
There's no language barrier usually because there's no language. It's very physical to watch that, and I think it's inspiring. So we're happy out of a pandemic, in a pandemic, to just be something positive for.
So we're going to be airing now in the fall.
Yes.
When will be your next big event?
The next big event from that would be shows throughout the year. Again, I can't give specific dates because everything is kind of in flux.
That's right, yeah.
But probably spring there'll be maybe a touring show then, and then in the summer Easter we do camps as well. So that's a great opportunity for people to come try aerials or get exposed. Same in the summer we offer camps. That's another big component of what we do. And then we have some lead-up events to the festival. Our biggest event is really the festival. The 2023 festival will be, but there's some lead up to that.
Yep.
But that's really like the highlight of what we do.
That sounds fascinating.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much.
And we'll be right back after this. If you would like to reach us, send us an email at darren.pocketuniverse@gmail.com. Thank you to everybody that was on the show today, and we'll see you next time.
Year round, I'll drive around town, my wife will drive around town. I will make trips out towards Arnold's Cove, Bull Arm, out to Carbonear, and I've also made trips to Montreal, Quebec City, all around Atlantic Canada, down in the United States. We've done this.
Yeah.
We know it works. This isn't difficult. It isn't like we're sitting around waiting for a charge all day long or unable to use it in the winter. It's none of that at all.
None of that at all. So electric vehicle, that was one of my questions in the winter, especially with Newfoundland where we have such nice cold winters here with lots of snow. How's their power and what would I call it, battery life, battery strength? Does the cold air have any effect on it?
So the bigger challenge for electric cars is dealing with an environment that's too hot. So when you're in the southern US, you're trying desperately to keep these things cool because a hot battery doesn't last very long. That can damage it.
Right.
With a cold battery, you just simply need to bring it up to proper temperature and then you have your full power from it, but you'll still get your range from it. So what you typically do is just as you have remote start on your gas car, you have precondition on your electric car while you're still home, plugged into the charger.
Yeah.
You can just tell the car, usually with an app on your phone, that I'd like to leave at 8 o'clock. It will warm the battery, but warm the cabin as well.
Right.
Have the battery fully charged, you get in, all the ice is melted off your car, all the snow is off your car, it's toasty warm, off you go. Full charge, no problem.
Once you get to the point where you publish a book, then you can put it in for the Newfoundland and Labrador Book Awards. And those are big prizes in fiction, nonfiction, poetry, children's literature. If you're just before the publication stage where you've finished a book, but it hasn't found a publisher yet, and it's your first book, you can put it in for our Fresh Fish Awards, which is intended...
Fresh Fish Awards.
Fresh Fish Awards.
Okay.
Yep, so nice Newfoundland cultural reference there, which is intended to help out emerging writers. So if you're just getting started, it's a monetary prize that hopefully will help you continue your work, as well as support to get your book edited.
That's excellent. Now, with the last few years, there seemed to be like a growing of people self-publishing their own books. How does that relate to Writers Alliance NL? Is that welcomed? Is that not welcomed? How does that fit into the world?
That's a great question. So self-published authors are absolutely welcome to join, and we have just in the past year created a document to give people more information on how to self-publish if it's something
nice.
that they
Okay.
want to do,
Yeah.
because we get so many questions about it. So we thought, why don't we have some of our members who are experts in self-publishing help us write up a document that then we can send to everyone so that they have the information they need to get started.
And then one day you happened to contact me saying that you were going to get something on the go, and it was sort of, some of the aspects were a bit similar to what I was thinking about for Avalon Expo. So I mentioned Avalon Expo to you, and you said, no, you should do that. That's a good idea. So honestly, I might not have actually gotten Avalon Expo off the ground if you hadn't said it was a good idea. So it's your fault.
Don't blame it on me, man.
So then we just, there were a lot of folks interested in the idea, and,
Yeah.
and a lot of people came together, and we put it together, and it's been.
So you say 8 years now?
2022 makes 8 years.
2022 makes 8 years. Excellent,
Yeah.
excellent. So besides Avalon Expo, you've got some other events that goes on during the year at different parts in the province.
Yes.
Just tell us something about each one of those.
Okay, well, the first one that we started was right after the first Avalon Expo in Marystown, called Buren Expo.
Buren Expo, okay.
And that's sort of Avalon Expo is a full weekend, which can be 2 or 3 days depending on how things are each year.
Right.
Buren Expo is sort of a half-day event on a Saturday out in Marystown.
Okay.
We have vendors there, and we have some games and costume contest. Sometimes we have panels and workshops and so on.
Yeah.
But it's a half-day event, about 6 hours, and get 200 or 300 people go to it.
Good.
So
good.
it's pretty good. And then so that 2022 is also 8 years.
Yeah.
Then in 2021, we started one in Clarenville that we call C.con. C.con.
Not com, con.
Con, like Comic-Con.
Okay, gotcha.
Because some people call Clarenville, it's a slang term for Clarenville, C.dot.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, so that went well the first year that we did it, and also the second year. So it's also a half-day event in Clarenville
yeah.
at hotel there, and very much basically the same as Buren Expo, just in Clarenville. 200 or 300, a few hundred people go to it, and a lot of fun.
That's
And
nice.
that's sort of in the spring,
Yep.
and Buren Expo is in the fall,
Okay.
and then Avalon Expo can be anywhere in between.
Anywhere in between.
If you have a comment about this program, we'd love to hear it. Email or call us, or send us your feedback through social media.